Clay, the final point that Napoleon Hill brings up here as he talks about these attributes of leadership, these principles of successful leadership, is he says cooperation. That's the final one. The successful leader must understand and apply the principle of cooperative effort and to be able to induce his followers to do the same. Leadership calls for power, and power calls for cooperation. If I'm struggling to, if I want to be a leader, and I look back and no one's following me. I mean, if I'm a business owner, I'm struggling there to get a spirit of cooperation going. What kind of action steps can I do, or how can I build a spirit of cooperation in my organization?
Man, that's a huge question, because once again, if there's no one following you, then don't be calling yourself a leader. And I was just talking to a gentleman on the phone today who has just stepped into management. He is the assistant fire chief in a small town in Oklahoma, in Kellyville, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And so, and it's a volunteer fire department. And so he's going, Clay, you know, I said, hey, before we get off the phone here today, Jeff, is there anything I can do? Are you struggling with anything? Is there anything in your leadership position that I can help you with? And he's going, yeah, I'm really having a hard time with all of these volunteers, you know? And I was going, volunteers can be tough, because you can't control them with money. You can't force a volunteer to do anything, because they'll just leave. He's going, that's exactly right. How do I get them to do things? So you even use this word cooperation. And the way that we build cooperation with somebody else is there has to be a connection that I have with something inside of you. Whatever's inside of you has to connect with what I'm doing. So I told him, ask people this question. When you are interviewing them or bringing them onto your team, ask them this question. What is your passion? Because if you can tap into somebody's passion, then they will follow you anywhere. But most of the time when we're in an interview scenario, I'm sitting here telling them what the job's going to be like. Here's what you're going to see. Here's what it's going to be like. Here's this. Here's this. In other words, here's me, 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 me. But if you will stop for a moment and ask the question at the very first, tell me a little bit about what your passions are. Then all of a sudden you're saying, well, I love this and I love that and I really love when I'm doing this. In the back of my mind, I'm going, you're never going to get a chance to do this in this office. That is never going to happen. And so to get to this place where there's a win-win is going to be really difficult, because I'm not connecting what I have as a company with what you want. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or to say that a better way, if I limit myself to just giving you a paycheck, then our relationship is going to be pretty shallow. I want you to come to work and do your work. You want a paycheck, and so we stay there. But Clay, if we can move to this place where I understand what your passions and what drives you, and if I as a leader am able to provide those things that drive you, then we will be able to function in a win-win scenario where we are able to do more and more and more things. Now, I've gotten to a place with many of my employees and many of the people that have been in our training school where I've been able to ask them to do extremely difficult things and extremely unpleasant things, but they have done it because we have been in that sense of, in that idea of cooperation.
So to build a sense of cooperation, we really need to find the passion of our team members. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and you've got to know your team members.
Well, what I wanted to do, because I don't want to forget to do this, is so important, but as we look at these 11 attributes that Napoleon Hill, Napoleon Hill was the success author who spent almost his entire life studying America's most successful people and asking them how they did it, and then writing a book books to teach people how to do it. But I thought it'd be appropriate if we put up on the screen here these different attributes, and if everyone watching this right now can just kind of marinate on these attributes and actually rate yourself on a scale of, let's just say, A through F.
Okay.
A being the best and F being the worst. Just go ahead and rate yourself, because the areas where you rate yourself the lowest are the areas obviously where we need to improve.
Yeah.
And so let's just kind of go through these here one more time.
All right.
Unwavering courage. How would you rate yourself? A through F on your unwavering courage. Self-control. How would you rate yourself there on self-control? Point 3, a keen sense of justice. Number 4, Definiteness of decision. A through F. How do you rate yourself? How would you rate yourself today on your definiteness of decision? Point 5. Definiteness of plans. Do you make plans? Do people have you make the plan and work the plan? Point 6. The habit of doing more than paid for. Is that something that you do all the time, or is it something that you very rarely do and your staff knows it? Point number 7.
And they will know it.
And they will bring it up.
Yes, they will know it. And if they don't bring it up to you, they'll bring it up to each other when you're not in the room.
That's right. Now, a pleasing personality.
Oh.
And again, that one's the one that almost nobody I've ever met gives themselves low marks there. They're always like, well, my personality is pretty much my strong suit. I've done it, you've done it, we've probably all done it. But sometimes our personality it's not gelling with the people we need it to gel with. Point number 8, sympathy and understanding. Rate yourself on that. How well are you doing right now at being sympathetic and understanding to the needs of your team? A little caveat, not everybody's right for every company. So sometimes you don't need to be sympathetic to everybody because they might not be the right people for your team. But if you have the right team members, I mean, you need to be sympathetic. You need to show you care. Point number 9, mastery of the detail. Rate yourself on that scale of A to F. Point number 10, willingness to assume full responsibility. Rate yourself on a scale there of A to F. And the final one, as you just articulated, cooperation. Rate yourself on a scale of A through F. How good are you at being able to kind of entice others to cooperate and to work in a spirit of harmony and to work together to achieve a common goal there? Clay, I know that you could probably be anywhere in the world right now. You travel all around the country, and you've spoken at events where Gary Vaynerchuk has spoken, the famous success author, and CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. But you've chosen to be here and to invest your time into mentoring the Thrive community and to people who are really wanting to move from where they are to where they want to be. And I just want to tell you, thank you so much for taking your time and being here with us tonight.
It's been a real pleasure. Thanks, Clay.
Thank you.